Have you ever found yourself sacrificing your own needs for the sake of others? It is as if there is this urge to prioritize the happiness and well-being of others over your own. Have you ever wondered how such toxic habits poison your life? Buddhism, originating from ancient times and renowned for its profound teachings, equips us with the invaluable wisdom to navigate today's life. These life lessons are not only for Buddhists, but for anyone who wants to reclaim their personal power. In today's video, tailored specifically for women, we'll delve deep into 7 toxic habits that kill happiness, inner peace, and health in your life. Let's explore what Buddhism can offer to provide a cure. Toxic habit 1. Hide your light under a bushel. Picture this. You're in a job interview, and you're asked about your strengths. It's a moment where the toxic tendency of false modesty can rear its head. The fear of appearing boastful or dishonest may lead you to downplay your abilities, potentially costing you the opportunity. How can you accurately represent yourself without sacrificing your integrity? This isn't just limited to professional settings. It extends to interactions with family, friends, and other social circles. Sometimes, women can become their own worst enemies. Almost passing unnoticed is the toxic tendency of thinking less of themselves, with the hidden roots of self-doubt, failure, and societal pressures. Practiced long enough, this habit reflects exactly that outwardly. This doubt is a slow poison that kills confidence. Many women don't speak up when they need to, too readily acknowledge the contribution of others, and downplay their achievements. And when people see this lack of self-worth, they become callous and indifferent because deep down, they can't respect someone who can't respect themselves. There is a point where too much modesty becomes an inevitable path to ruin. Buddha, the founder of Buddhist philosophy, once wisely said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." The Buddhist journey of self-awareness allows you to understand your own thoughts about yourself. Take a moment to calm yourself, breathe deeply, and observe your thoughts without judgment. You can list your achievements on paper and describe what your part was in their completion. This could be a stream of consciousness exercise where you just let your thoughts flow onto the paper and read them over to find patterns about how you see yourself. This will help you understand yourself better, paving the way for personal growth and letting go of the habit of undervaluing yourself. Toxic habit 2. Waiting for external validation. Ask yourself what you would do if social media wasn't around and nobody would know what you were up to. How would you spend your weekends? What would your career goals be? How many photos would you take? Who would you hang out with? Where would you live if you weren't silently policing yourself through the lens of what other people see? It can become a serious danger for a woman when her need to be acknowledged by other people becomes so drastic that she changes the way she behaves, the way she talks, and pretends to like things she doesn't. And pretty soon, she finds herself buying clothes to impress her friends or going to parties she'd rather not, just to keep up appearances. By not being truthful, you begin to live out an imaginary person who isn't you. By measuring yourself based on how others want to see you rather than being authentic, you perpetually live in misery. Buddha says, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." Buddhist philosophy teaches us that to liberate ourselves from the cycle of seeking approval from the external world, we must cultivate inner peace and self-confidence. Use the Buddhist concept of mindfulness to observe yourself as an outsider. Throughout the day, deliberately watch yourself as you make decisions and ask why. Why am I really doing this? Is it because I genuinely want to, or because I think this will cast a good image on my friends or relatives? By trying to figure out who we really are and trusting our own judgment, we can stop faking this so-called persona to please other people and live deliberately. Toxic habit 3. Comparing yourself with others. Did this ever happen to you? Seeing one of your friends go on a date with an awesome, good-looking guy, never having to worry about her makeup, or one of your peers managing to go on that holiday you've always wanted. There might have been a tinge of sadness and envy, maybe even a slight desire for revenge. When you measure your worth against others' achievements, traits, or circumstances, you not only feel a sense of inadequacy, but also develop resentment for the other person's success. Every person is unique, and comparison serves no purpose other than to hinder our growth. When we see someone who has something that we want, we forget to be grateful for what we already have. Comparison is the worst form of suffering, because if we see our qualities and traits as fundamentally worthless, we lose self-confidence, and the ability to look at ourselves with pride is one of the most abundant sources of joy in our lives. The woman who is always comparing herself with others would be chronically insecure and mentally tormented. The only valid comparison that we can conduct is between who we are today and who we were yesterday. As Buddha says, comparing yourself to others is the root of all suffering. The only way past this harmful comparison is gratitude. When we look at others, we often take for granted all the gifts and blessings we have been endowed with. A simple practice is to wake up every morning and write out 3 things that you are grateful for. Really feel the gratitude in your heart. If you do this exercise over the course of a month or even a week, you will quickly realize that there is a lot you have that is worth appreciating. In acknowledging that, you can find happiness and fulfillment. Toxic habit 4. Overthinking other people's opinions. When you are at work and hear your co-workers giggling behind you, what is your first thought? I bet they are laughing at me for wearing this dress. Or, did I talk too loudly at the coffee bar? More often than not, you will come up with some random scenario in your head for what the other person is thinking and assume that is the truth. Opinions are just that. They are opinions. Thoughts that enter minds that are quickly replaced by new ones. Most women are constantly trying to figure out what other people are thinking about them and second-guessing their own actions. Did I hurt her with what I said? Or, I wonder why she is being nice to me. I bet she wants something. Thinking like this will get you nowhere because it leaves you in a perpetual state of emotional distress. After all, you are distrusting everyone around you. What a lot of women all too often don't realize is the fact that most people aren't thinking about them in the first place. They tend to exaggerate their own importance in their minds. So, those girls back there giggling aren't giggling at you. In the words of Buddha, nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts unguarded. If you find yourself overthinking too much, just cut everything out and take a deep breath. Focus on nothing but the flow of air through your nose. The clarity from this short burst of meditation gives you clarity. Each moment, you can cut out the noise, quiet your mind, and find tranquility in the moment. Just as the seasons are turbulent, so are your thoughts. Why would you choose to be moved by something that disappears as quickly as it arises? Toxic habit 5. Not setting boundaries. Imagine the following scenario. Your spouse or boyfriend wants you to stay up late and watch TV together. While you know you have to wake up early the next day, you decide to go through with it. You spend the next day tired and groggy, blaming your partner. Or it could be the other way around. Today, you didn't have much time and didn't cook the meal your partner wanted. Now, he is holding that against you. These are all cases of not setting up proper boundaries for yourself in a relationship. Setting boundaries isn't only about planning quality time, it's more about proper communication and setting realistic expectations with the other person. A relationship that has no set limits is bound to be manipulative or coercive. Partners need to respect the lines that you have drawn, and vice versa. If two people constantly feel exploited and violated in each other's company, they can't possibly be happy. Buddha warns us that You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. The next time you feel that your partner has done something to offend you, simply take a step back and assess the situation. Did you make it clear that you didn't want them to do that? What were their intentions? How can the situation be ameliorated? The first step is always to be completely conscious of what happened instead of giving into emotion. Mindfulness is your friend here. Observe your emotions as they bubble up and breathe 3 times before you react. It can be very easy to turn a bad situation into something worse. Communicate clearly your needs and wants instead of turning to anger or resentment. Toxic habit 6. Holding onto toxic relationships. If someone were to ask you if you were in a toxic relationship, you would probably brush it off with a sarcastic, "Of course not." But that's the tricky thing about toxic relationships. It's very hard for a person to believe they are being unwittingly exploited by their partner. What does it really look like? It could look like an overly possessive or domineering partner. Or someone who relentlessly assaults your self-esteem, barely tries to establish an emotional connection, or is very negative in their view of the world. This doesn't just have to be love relationships either. They can also be friends or even family. While it might initially go unnoticed, toxic relationships can erode self-confidence over time, leading to insecurities and emotional distress. Remaining in such a relationship is detrimental not only for you, but for the other individual as well. Unmet expectations and ineffective communication will only serve to compound any problems you may already have. To be in a difficult relationship is a great hardship, but also an opportunity to develop courage and wisdom. In Buddhist tradition, karma is essentially the action you choose to undertake, and the results of that action. You, and only you, are responsible for your karma. You cannot control other people's karma. While Buddhism recognizes that pain is inevitable, there is never a reason to stay in more pain than is necessary. That would be folly. In the words of the wise Buddha, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Toxic habit 7. Neglecting self-care. It is easier to take care of your child than it is to take care of yourself. Imagine all that you would give up, all you would struggle against if your son or daughter needed help. You would travel to the ends of the earth to make sure their obligations were met. But when it comes to taking care of yourself, it rarely seems that important. After all, you can work on yourself whenever you want, so why the hurry? Especially women tend to overlook their own needs in the service of others, whether they are children, parents, friends, or spouses. If this is true, then it means that you respect everyone else more than you respect yourself, and that is harmful, because neglecting self-care brings with it a host of other troubles. You are likely to be burdened more by shame and guilt, which inevitably leads to you undervaluing yourself, because for every good deed women do for others, they might deprive themselves of the capacity to do more. As the Buddhist proverb goes, your body is precious. It is our vehicle for awakening. Treat it with care. It's very simple to consistently do a few helpful things every day. You could start by going for a walk in the mornings, or reading a good book in the evenings, instead of scrolling through social media. You know best what is good for you. There are many domains of life that we could build and improve upon if we only make a little time for it. It will help us appreciate life all the more vividly. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the most important tool you can use to embrace a life of profound joy and purpose. It makes you conscious of the toxic habits you must drop and the new habits you should take up. So, by heeding the timeless wisdom of Buddha and embarking on a journey of self-discovery and liberation, you will awaken to the boundless potential within.